Bible. It's the biggest selling book in history. In recent times, over 1 billion copies of the Bible have been sold or given away every year. But the Bible may be one of the least read and least understood books of all times. Let's take a look at how the Catholic Church understands and what she teaches about the Bible. First of all, even though the word Bible means book, biblos in Greek, what we call the Bible is actually a collection of books written over a long span of time. Before the printing press existed, these books were handwritten by scribes onto scrolls, so that each book was a separate scroll. You may remember at the beginning of the Gospel of Luke, when Jesus is in his local synagogue and it is his turn to read, he is handed the scroll of the book of Isaiah. That's how these books of the Bible were first preserved. In fact, before the advent of the printing press and books, these scrolls we now call the Bible were referred to as the Law and the Prophets. Jesus in the Gospels and St. Paul in his letters referred to this collection of scrolls this way, the Law and the Prophets. It is only in 1440, with Gutenberg's invention of the printing press, that these scrolls will be collected together into a single volume, which will be called the book, the Bible. When you open a modern-day Bible, it's easy to assume that all the books it contains were written at one time. It's a bit deceiving. All the books there are in the same language, modern English. You could be forgiven for assuming they were all written during the same period of history, and by the same person. But the truth is, if you read them in their original language, you'd quickly discover they were not. Here's a comparison. If you were to read a play by Shakespeare, Charles Dickens' 19th century fable A Christmas Carol, and a novel by 21st century author Stephen King, you'd soon realize that while they're all written in English, they were written in different eras. There's a major difference between the English used by Shakespeare, Dickens, and King. In fact, many of us who speak modern English need a dictionary to read Shakespeare. Well, the same is true of the books of the Bible. In the Old Testament, we find books written in a very ancient form of Hebrew, others in what's known as Middle Hebrew, and still others in Late Hebrew. In other words, it's clear they were not all written in the same era. In fact, between the oldest books, those written in ancient Hebrew, and the most recent books, those written in Late Hebrew, there is a gap of about 1,000 years. That's right, 1,000 years. Today's Bible is divided into two major sections. The first has been traditionally referred to as the Old Testament. Since the adjective old often implies outdated or no longer useful, today it is often referred to as the Hebrew Scriptures, since most of those books are in fact written in that language. The word testament, by the way, is an Old English word for covenant, which in the ancient world was a solemn agreement. In this case, the agreement is between God and his people, Israel. The second section of the Bible is often called the New Testament, or better, the Christian Scriptures. You might think these books would be written in Hebrew, or the common language of Judea in the time of Jesus, Aramaic. But all of these scriptures are written in Koine Greek, the common language of the Roman Empire. It is important to note from the outset that these books were written by believers, by members of the Christian Church, and for fellow believers. Part 2 of this series will explore the Old Testament in a little more detail, while Part 3 does the same for the New Testament. Part 4 then describes in a general way the various ways the Bible is interpreted in our time.